Let's move on to another Big Ten spot. We have number 17th ranked Indiana at Rutgers. Both teams open their season with giant wins. Indiana opened the season with 36-35 overtime win at home over Penn State. Rutgers opened their season with the 38-27 win at Michigan State. This is two teams feeling good about themselves. Now 17th ranked Indiana, 12 or 12.5 point road favorites, and this total sitting at 53. Indiana, Rutgers. John, we'll start with you. Great call on Rutgers last week. Are you going back to the well?
I am going back to the well. I think this is I can't believe it's a double-digit line. Penn State, if I have to talk about them, I had them as a play. I like the team. I never saw a game quite like that, to be honest. They outgained Indiana by 277 yards. And yes, they made mistakes. Yes, the media can blame James Franklin for some of the not making the right calls, which is always easy to do when you're a Monday morning quarterback. But somehow Indiana, got that 17-7 lead, and then they held on. And the last play of the game is that is what it is. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but DraftKings refunded all the money line bets on Penn State. So that kind of brings up an interesting thing going forward. But it was a game that, I had coaches in my life, and I try to teach my teams the same thing. It doesn't come down to the last play of a game when you lose. There's so many little things that could have been done better. And in the case of Penn State, there's dozens of things they could have done better, and it would not have come down to that game, that play. We saw Gurley in the pros failed to kneel down at the goal line, right? And he accidentally scored because he had himself in his own fantasy team. But the Penn State kid, that's part of the coaching part. That should have been mentioned in the huddle, that Indiana may let us score here and just go down on a knee at the 5-yard line. And that would have ran the clock down to about 10 seconds. So there's all these little things that can happen. So I'm not taking anything away from the Hoosier win, but I think in the stats, as I like to say, Indiana was far from winning that game. And in the stats, you can say the same thing for Rutgers. But if anybody's feeling good about themselves, it's Rutgers. After all these years of being a doormat, they finally returned the favor, get the win on the road. Now they're going to be at home in New Jersey. And I think double digits is ridiculous. Later in the week, I'll look at the whole gauntlet of data. And this might be one of those where I do the combination bet where, if you're betting $100 a game, you put 70 on the line and 30 on the money line. I just think it's a great situation for the Scarlet Knights.
Rutgers coming off a big win, and John Ryan going back to the window. C-Mac, what do you think about John Ryan backing Rutgers one more time?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing in this one. I like Indiana, but they're real happy after that win. So it's a good look. And I never call a double-digit dog at home, college or pro. But I don't know. I don't love the spot. We'll see what Rutgers is really made of. Here we go.
Yep.
So it's a real test, and the line I think is about right. So yeah, we'll see the spot. That's all I have on it really right now.
John Ryan backing Rutgers. Noli knows we haven't touched on the total in this spot, sitting at 53 with no movement. Is there any move for you here?
Yeah, I think this is a tough game for me to try to determine. On one side, Indiana's been handling this competition for the most part, but here Rutgers look pretty good here in the first game under Greg Schiano for his second stint over here. They didn't give up much rushing yards, only 50 yards rushing in that game, but still weren't able to produce a lot of yards offensively. They didn't look like a huge offensive juggernaut. I think they'll fare a little bit better against Indiana. Indiana gave up 488 total yards, only rushed for 41 yards in that game. So I understand John Ryan's sentiment. I understand how you can get upset. They were dominating that game, and that game shouldn't have been close. I agree. And I believe that Indiana is the better team. Are they 12.5 points better? That's something that I'm not too sure of. I would lean towards the under here, but I'll be staying away from this game.
One last thing, Jimmy. We were talking about it was unknown who was going to start at quarterback, and Rutgers Schiano brought in 11 transfers during this COVID period, 2 of which were from Ohio State, 2 from Michigan, and 1 from Nebraska, who ended up being awarded the starting quarterback position, and his name is Noah Vidral. And he had a pretty good game considering he's a transfer and not much time to practice, and that's only going to get better. He's a dual threat. And, those dual threat guys are hard to defend sometimes. And he has a game under his belt now. So that's another reason why I really like what's happening at Rutgers. I mean, they're not going to go 4-4 this year. If they went 3-5, that would be fantastic. It's a step forward to getting to a bowl eligibility again next year.
John backing Rutgers one more time.